Welcome to the Metro Monk Podcast, your sanctuary for self-discovery, personal growth, and emotional healing. I'm your host, Parag Lokande, a shadow coach, spiritual mentor, seeker, poet, and a student of life. This podcast is a heartfelt journey into understanding and embracing your true self. It is designed to help you navigate the complexities of the human experience with wisdom and compassion. Join me on a journey to self-discovery and personal growth as we explore the power of self-healing. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Metro Monk Podcast. This is episode 42, and I'm your host, Parag. Today's episode, I thought I'll base it on the previous one as a continuation of what we've been discussing. And as a refresher, if you recall, we discussed how all the goals and qualities we chase are basically to feel a certain feeling. And that the irony is that all these emotions are already within us. In fact, these are all qualities of our higher self, and we simply have to remove what's in the way. So today we'll talk about challenges or patterns that you may be stuck in. And what if you had enough of these patterns or challenges? What if you've got fed up with these patterns in your life and you just want to get rid of them? Can we apply the same principles that we discussed in the previous episode with these challenges or patterns as well? So, for example, if you're fed up of toxic relationships, whether it's friendships or family or romantic relationships, and let's say you keep attracting people who drain you emotionally all the time and they just make you feel unworthy. Or what if you've got this pattern of people pleasing? You're struggling to say no, constantly put others' needs over your own, and that fear of disappointing or upsetting people always keeps you people pleasing. Or what if there is a addictive behavior? Let's say you use distractions like food, alcohol, work, social media, whatever, even spirituality, as a way to avoid facing uncomfortable emotions or your pain. I'll take these examples because I can speak to these personally, because I used to struggle with these myself. So I thought, let's go with these examples. Now, with challenges or patterns in life, it is slightly different than goals or qualities. And that's because when we aim for a goal or quality, we are usually aiming for that feeling behind these goals or qualities. With challenges or patterns in life, it's more about trying to free yourself from them. Let's say you've got to this place with these patterns or challenges that you had enough and you want to just stop repeating these patterns. So it's more a place of you want to be free from these patterns. Another way to reiterate this is, when we chase goals or qualities, we're essentially chasing the feeling, or whether it's success, love, confidence, or peace. But as we've discussed before, these feelings already exist in us. Yeah, they are part of your higher self. And the real work is about removing what's blocking us from feeling them naturally, rather than endlessly chasing for some external validation. And the great part about these feelings is these feelings can be triggered at will, and these are more often a constant state that you're in, rather than trying to get high on them over time. So we understand, with goals and qualities, what we're really chasing is the feeling. And these feelings already exist within us. You're just simply removing what's blocking it. However, with challenges and patterns, the approach is slightly different. Instead of trying to gain something, the focus is on freeing yourself from what keeps you stuck in these patterns. And these are often rooted in some old conditioning or unresolved emotions or unconscious beliefs. So overcoming them is about letting go rather than adding something new. It's like you're carrying a heavy backpack filled with unnecessary weight. You don't need to find a better backpack. You just need to take out the unnecessary stuff or simply just drop the backpack. That's like the analogy of freeing yourself from these patterns or challenges. So then freedom from challenging relationships or financial blocks or patterns of addictions is more a long-term side effect. It's a side effect of doing this work and constantly removing various blocks as they come up. And over time, these fall away just as a result of doing this work rather than some short-term fix. Look at this like tending to a garden. You don't focus on forcing the flowers to blossom. Instead, you keep removing the weeds or enriching the soil or provide sunlight and water. And over time, as you nurture the environment, flowers will naturally blossom. Or let's say we are trying to sculpt a statue from a block of marble. The sculptor doesn't try and create the statue. It's he or she is simply chipping away the excess stone that hides the masterpiece. Or let's say you're trying to upgrade your phone. You don't try and make it run faster by forcing it. You just keep deleting old files. You just keep clearing storage and removing unnecessary apps, and that's what makes this run faster. So it's exactly the same thing. Removing challenges or patterns in life is like this. These just drop away as you do this work over an extended period of time. So let's take the example of toxic relationships. How does this play out as you then do this work over time? As we've said, whether it's friendship or family or romantic relationship, and let's say they are emotionally draining you. You're not going to change these patterns in just 10 to 15 sessions. That's because it's like forcing the flowers to bloom or creating the sculptor or trying to make your phone run faster. But instead, as you keep working through every trigger, each feeling that you've suppressed, week by week or day by day, depending on how fast you want to get this done, then over time, these patterns and challenges simply fall away. So then, in case of toxic relationships, what will happen is you will simply stop attracting people who drain you emotionally or make you feel unworthy. In my case, this was such a stark contrast. Because I'd only had relationships or friendships that were toxic, it took me some time to believe that the new people I was attracting in my life were actually not the old kind of friendships or relationships. And when I really started looking closely at them, I was startled at the complete change in energy around these friendships or the new people that were walking into my life. So then, in case of toxic relationships, you will just simply stop attracting people who will drain you emotionally or make you feel unworthy. And the reason for that is you are always attracting what you're being unconsciously, or in other words, what you're suppressing or rejecting. And once you've cleared everything, and this is still fascinating for me to watch, once you have cleared everything from your emotional legacy, the higher self moves into these areas to fill in. And the universe has no other option but to match the people in your life with how you're feeling about yourself in the unconscious. This is again a personal experience. Every single relationship I've had was toxic, like I've said, and even when I've made peace with it, as in it no longer triggered me, even when I could understand their perspectives, I could see how they were coming from their wounding. even though I could step into my own power around these toxic relationships, even me wanting to keep in touch with these relationships just out of, say, sheer gratitude for being my teachers in my life. These individuals are simply no longer in my life. And I've tried to keep in touch. Some of them are my friends since 5th grade. I've tried to make effort to stay connected, and something or the other just keeps happening, and we are simply not able to be in touch. At one point, I began to think, this is just too freaky. I mean, it's just too much of a coincidence going on as to why can't I keep in touch with these old relationships, even though I'm making that effort. Maybe I'm just being unlucky here or not trying too hard. But that was not the case. Something or the other would keep happening, and the universe would just remove these people from coming into my radius. Take the case of people pleasing. As you struggle to say no, constantly put others' needs above your own, and that fear of disappointing or upsetting people is just constantly driving you crazy. One fine day, as you keep working through your shadows, emotions, and beliefs, you will wake up one day and effortlessly start saying no. As simple as lifting your arm. It will just feel odd, in fact, not to say no when you mean no. And this, again, is because you get more and more into alignment as you do this work. The emotional legacy that you've cleared is now being filled in by parts of your higher self. And so the more you come into alignment, the easier it gets to simply say no. In fact, it gets extremely difficult to suppress your needs, emotions, desires. And this is, again, not an effort. You don't need to exert any effort. It feels completely effortless. So, folks, that's it for today. I thought I'll just keep it short and simple. As we wrap up today's episode, I want you to leave with this part. True transformation is not about forcing change or chasing external validation. It's not about adding something new to yourself. It's about consistently doing this inner work, removing these emotional blocks, and allowing your higher self to naturally emerge. And then, whether it's toxic relationships or people-pleasing tendencies or addictive patterns or whatever your challenges are, these fall away as a byproduct of that healing journey. Again, not through force or quick fixes. With patience and self-awareness, the world around you begins to reflect your inner state of freedom and authenticity. This is the most fascinating phenomena to watch. It's nothing short of magic, because the universe literally reorganizes reality around you to match what's in your unconscious. So folks, keep going, keep clearing, and watch your reality shift in ways that feels almost magical. So until next time, stay mindful, stay free, much love, and take care.